In this screencast, we will cover the academic rubric. The academic rubric may look similar to the honors rubric, however, there is a big difference. By the time you add up all of the deductions, there is no way that a student can get less than a 65. We want to take note that in class, we probably will get some directions about the opening. So the opening is not going to be required. For the most part, you are going to be responsible for a one sentence thesis, one supporting paragraph with one, two, and three sources that clearly support the thesis you are trying to support. So you want to follow the guidelines for the thesis. You want to make sure that you have one sentence. You want to make sure that it's underlined and it follows the requirement that is outlined here. If you have one paragraph, then you are going to use this process. World War I started because the assassination of Ferdinand set in motion secret treaties. So, one paragraph, you need three sources supporting that the assassination of Ferdinand set in motion secret treaties. If you are assigned two paragraphs, now you need two supporting points. So, using that same thesis, we see this thesis playing out this way. World War I started because the assassination of Ferdinand set in motion secret treaties. So, this is paragraph one, and Germany's attempt to resolve the crisis politically failed. So this issue with the sources supporting this point should be in paragraph two, and then motion of secret treaty should be in paragraph one. So make sure you pay attention in class, get an idea of how many paragraphs, but for the most part, it's going to be one paragraph. And I will be looking at your sources. So if this is your thesis, within the essay body, you want to have your topic sentences, you want to have your source, introduce, and then you want to put the source section that you're quoting in quotes. And you want to make sure that there's a clear connection between the source and the thesis. Then you want to analyze the source. So we are looking for three sources within the essay paragraph. And I'm looking to see if that source that you are citing supports the thesis. If it does support the thesis, then you will get no deductions. If it does not, then you will get a 2. And if it's in the middle, you will get a 1. And I'm just looking to see whether or not the thesis supports. So if you're in your thesis, you say you're writing about cats, and source 1 is about cats, source 2 is about dogs, and source 3 is about cats and pigs, let's say. I'm looking to see if there's a connection. Do the sources clearly support what you're claiming in your thesis? Yes or no? I will then look at your analysis. And for the analysis, I am looking to see if your cited source, number 1, 2, and 3, how do you analyze those sources? And what I mean by that, how do you explain, answer the questions how and why the source you are citing supports the thesis? So I'm looking to see a connection between these 3 points here. So when you're analyzing your source, you want to always ask the question how and why. There is a screencast that addresses that. For flow, I'm looking to see your transitions, how you end a sentence, how it leads into the next sentence, looking for the paragraph, and pretty much how the essay just comes together. Again, there are screencasts on this as well. If you have a flow that is off, restricts clarity, that'll be a -2 deduction. Writing tips. Are you following the writing tips? If you don't know where the writing tips guides are located, it's down at the bottom of the rubric. And I'm just looking to see whether or not you follow the guidelines that are in there. And basically, that's about like punctuation, your tense, and things like that are 2 deduction. Format. Are you following the required format for the works cited, bibliography, footnotes, and things of that particular nature? And it's pretty straightforward. Either you did it or you didn't, or you're somewhere in the middle. Closing probably will not be part of any of the essays. If closing is, that probably would be for the 4th mark period. Make sure you're introducing your sources. When you give me your source, you want to say according to, then give me the name of the author. And don't just give me a quote from the source that you are citing. You need to introduce the source, introduce the document, whatever it is that you are using. Down here, you see some additional deductions, and they're pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. You don't want to have too much filler information. Often students will write about stuff that just seems to be unrelated to your topic. Again, if you're writing about cats and you're up here talking about hamsters, that's a problem. Or you're talking about assassination of Ferdinand, yet you're spending too much time up here talking about World War II and things that are just unrelated. Make sure you are historic. Do not write like an op-ed. This is not your opinion. You need to stick to the facts. Accuracy, these are deductions if the essay is presenting accurate historical information. And at the end of the essay, as the reader, I will ask this question: does the writing and sources cited here, do they support the thesis that the writer set out to prove? And it's just simply yes or no. If it's a yes, there'll be no deduction. If it's a no, you'll see this circle, then that will be a -1 because you didn't convince the reader. I'm looking for a clear message. You do this by referencing prior paragraphs. And when you cite that thesis, you always want to come back and say, well, this or that source, you want to explain how that source supports the thesis you're trying to argue. Is your writing vague? Are you missing information that's crucial for the reader to understand the flow, the context, the history you're presenting? And readability is the reader simply struggling as they read. So the rubric will be the same. And if I have two paragraphs, then you will see this section look like this. And if the essay is three paragraphs of support, then it's going to look like this. And you'll notice that the numbers have changed. So that's how you will be scored. Best of luck.